Here we go. Little college football playoff discussion with Diamond Dave Bartoo, who is our numbers nerd, and we love him for it. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Show is brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the Timeout Lounge. That is the sports book inside the Golden Moon Casino. Bartoo on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Bartoo, what's up, buddy?
Oh, Jude, it's been a busy morning here already, Cookie Puss. Been out. What have we got done today? Obviously, the morning shoot the bow to get tuned in for archery season. I did clean. I did clean my safety handgun for hunting in the woods. We got a lot of wolves, mountain lions out here. So I used to never carry in the woods because it was just extra weight, but when I was walking alone on a log road way back when, about 7 years ago, and a lone wolf came across in front of me. Been carrying ever since then. And only seen wolves.
Did you urinate in your pants?
No, I didn't. I just turned my bow around like a shield, pulled out my knife, and if we're going to go. But they've come close before. The closest they ever came. So, 4 seasons ago, my two of my buddies, they both drew once in a lifetime elk tags, and there's a unit out here in Oregon. There's only one road in it that skirts it, and they only give out 20 tags a year for this whole unit. Wow! And the head guide said I could come along as long as I got, so I got to sleep in the guide tent too, right? But not only did I have to go out scouting with everybody, my job was getting up at 4:00 every morning and making sure everybody's tent had a fire in it.
Wow!
And when you're at 7,000 feet in November, it ain't warm getting up, walking around the tent, and to get things going.
Damn.
So, but we were out hunting, or we were out scouting. And I remember we were coming back. It was the end of the day. We'd come back for lunch, and then we went back out. We were scouting, and the guy I was with, we were long-range glassing. So we had big optics. We're looking, half mile to 3 miles, 4 miles away looking for bulls, and didn't see anything shootable. And we were heading back to camp, and it was dark, and all we had is our headlights on. And the local wolf pack ran in front of us so close you could see him whiz by in our lights.
Damn.
That was see, it wouldn't have been so bad if I hadn't seen their prints in the snow the previous days. And their prints literally, I mean, it's make your hand into a claw, right? Hold your hand out dead flat and then curl your 5 fingers, just your fingertips in about 2 inches. That's how big their paws are. And that gave me the heat. That was worse than the mountain lion stalking in on me when we're doing elk calling. That one was that was the biggest wow terrestrial encounter on land I've ever had. That gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. But hey, what doesn't kill you makes it fun.
Yeah. Hold on.
So got my gun clean. Yeah.
That story was brought to you by the Armory on Lake Harbor in Ridgeland. For all your optics, suppressors, and firearms, the Armory, Lake Harbor in Ridgeland. Bartoo, Bartoo lives, sleeps, and eats elk hunting, and then likes college football on the side, which works for us. Yeah.
I do. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. But I got the pigs fed and got the eggs collected. It's been hot as heck out here. We've been triple digits now for 4 days, so extra water on the garden and the fruit trees and stuff like that. So no, it's been a busy morning, and as you can tell, my voice is not 100% at all. But you gave me the go ahead to come on and squawk about college football. So let's get her done.
All right, Diamond Dave, the debate on your Twitter feed, which went nuts, and I thought I went down the rabbit hole, but it was awesome. The discussion is how many 9-3 teams, if any, will make it on a yearly basis, or is it 10-2 or better? I'm going to let you have the floor. What does it look like the last decade or so, Bartoo?
Oh, I'm going to hammer this. Before I get into this, though, this was interesting to me, is watching all the feedback from the followers on Twitter, because the vast majority of people feel that there are going to be more 9-3 teams get in because of the realignment. But the math doesn't work. See, Stanford and Cal, and they went to the ACC, and then Arizona State, Utah, Colorado went to the Big 12, and then you have all the Big 10 teams, and you got Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC, but they still all play the same number of conference games. Nothing has changed, right? We consolidated everybody except Oregon State and Washington State into 4 conferences. Now, I would say there's going to be more 9-3 teams if everybody was playing 9 conference games, or if everybody's playing 10 conference games or 11 conference games, but that didn't change. The math hasn't changed. And I saw the argument all night last night that, Dave, you're wrong, and I could be, right? But I don't think the math is wrong in that there's going to be more 9-3 teams because of this, and more 9-3 teams get in. And maybe it falls somewhere in between, but what I looked at is I went back and looked at the playoff committee's final rankings. And it's pretty easy to go, and you and I both know it's 1 through 11 are getting in, right? Every once in a while, you're going to get a 12 when you have a Cincinnati at 4, when you have UCF at 8, at 12-0 in 2018. So there's a couple of anomalies in there, but for the most part, if you're not top 11, you're not in. Well, so let's start. Do you want to start at the top? Because we know 12-0,
Yeah,
or 12-1, 13-0 is in, right?
Yeah.
That always gets in, right? And we know the conference champs are going to get in. Now, 10-2 and 10-3. This one was fascinating. 10-2, 6 times 10-2 didn't get in. 8 times 10-3 didn't get in.
damn.
And of those 10-3 teams, 3 of them were in the top 11 when they played the championship game. They lost and got bounced out. So that's going to be the first big snafu that everybody really, really, really complains about when a team gets bounced out of the top 11. Now, I think it's going to be really rare, because what we had before, this is where the expansion has changed. Because in the last 10 years, what have we had? Division champs playing for conference titles, right? You don't have that now. Like in the SEC, you can't have a 9-3 LSU playing 12-0 Georgia in the title game unless LSU is actually, that's the second best record in the SEC, right? Right. So we're probably not going to have that problem. So when you look at, you're looking at 10-2 and 10-3, it's about the same. Now, I think a lot of people listening right now would say, dude, 10-3, you're in. 10-2, you're in. But it's not. We average about 1.5 teams a year with 10 wins that don't get in. So just because your team is 10-2 or 10-3, it is absolutely not a lock. Absolutely not a lock. Now,
Okay, let me ask you this: if there's what would be, let's say we're down to the last 2 spots, and the 2 teams are 10-2, what would be the tiebreaker for the committee, Bartoo?
Okay, so all else equal, okay, by the rules. All right, now Hancock came out with these day one. Nobody paid attention to them. All they heard is we're having a playoffs. He gave us verbally and in writing all the ranking rules. And at 10-2, the first time all else equal came into play was Baylor TCU. Because what did the Big 12 do? They said, these are our co-champs. Everything is equal. And on paper, top 25 wins, quality wins, all that stuff, margin of victory, it was basically equal. So when all else is equal, they're going to go to their strength of schedule model. Now, you and I both know that strength of schedule models are all crap. I could get a team of MIT people, and they're still terrible because we have no sample size. 75% of all the games are just played in a conference. So you really can't have a good strength of schedule when nobody really plays each other. So you're going to be at 10-2, all else being equal, you're relying on the committee's strength of schedule model. Now, understand, folks, I want to make this really, really clear about strength of schedule. Strength of schedule has zero, and I mean zero, correlation with the quality of the team. You can take any strength of schedule model and try to pick games, wins and losses, based solely off strength of schedule. You are going to be 500 at best. There's no correlation. So you're using something that doesn't define how good a team is. But you want the best teams, but your last resort is using something that doesn't define the quality of a team. So just want to put that out there for everybody to chew on. But at 10-2, both of them, you are looking at strength of schedule. Now, if you also look historically, teams, when all else is equal in rankings, like AP Top 25, Coaches Poll, and so forth, ties usually go to the better conferences. So if you have a 10-2 SEC team versus 10-2 Big 12, I can tell you without even looking at the teams, they're going to go SEC.
Okay.
Right? Big 10 and ACC, they're going to go Big 10. Right?
What about SEC versus Big 10?
It still should be SEC.
Okay, I agree.
Right? I mean, the SEC, right? The SEC, Josh Pate put out an interesting question yesterday about what is SEC bias and in the media. And my response was the SEC bias in the media is because the SEC has the popularity. Fans tend to gravitate towards quality. Fans tend to gravitate towards better teams that win, right? We don't root for the Saints really loud when they're 2-14. When they're 14-2, you're screaming, right? Even if it's the same team. And so clicks, eyeballs go to big brands. They go to the big recruiters. They go to the winners. And the SEC has 10 of the top 20 recruiters in college football, right? They have half of them. The rest of college football has the other 10. So if you have a choice, if you're a writer about college football, if you talk about college football in general, then half of your discussion should always be the SEC. That's where the eyeballs is. That's where the talent is. That's where everybody goes to because they gravitate towards better players, better teams.
Right.
And so to me, it's not a bias. It's just if the Big Ten had half the top 10 recruiters, there'd be Big Ten bias, right? Yeah. And so people say, well, they haven't proven anything. Well, if you write about preseason rankings or anything about preseason and you complain about the SEC haven't proving it, you're a hypocrite because nobody's proven anything. So if you're going to bet on a conference being better, wouldn't you bet on the one with all the talent?
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
He was so stupid. I swear to God. So anyways, back to the tiebreakers, right? Historically, it's always been SEC, Big Ten, and then you don't know what you're going to get with ACC, Pac-12, et cetera. So we'll just have to see what it comes down to. Now, you and I talked about it. When the SEC goes to 9 conference games in 2026, their 16 teams are going to occupy a minimum of 14 of the top 16 preseason SOS rankings. Minimum. It's going to be that brutal, right? So in 2 years, in my opinion, ties like that are always going to go to the SEC. But like I said, over the last 9 seasons, I throw out COVID year because that's wonky and we just can't count those numbers or records and so forth. In the last 9 years, you have 14 teams, tier 1, tier 2, with 10 wins. 14 of them didn't get in. That's 1.5 teams a year. So I know a lot of fans are probably going, man, you get 10 wins, you're a lock. Bull
Well,
crap.
That's what Ole Miss fans are asking. If they go 10-2 and let's say they lose to LSU at LSU and Georgia at home and they go 10-2, are they a lock?
No, I just said they're not a lock.
Yeah, no, I was just throwing that out.
Right? I mean, are their chances really, really good? Yeah, they are. But part of it, too, is who did they lose to? What was the margin of loss? See, everybody talks about margin of victory, which is a key, absolute huge key in playoff rankings. If you're a head coach and you're not putting your foot on the gas to get the biggest margin of victory every single game, You are doing it wrong as far as playoff ranking goes. Margin of victory is absolutely key. Top three things, okay? But margin of loss is important too. You can't get blown out. You get blown out 10-2 with a couple of blowouts, you're not getting in. They're not letting that team in. We've seen it time and time again. And margin of loss is down there with strength of schedule. It's not very important. But when it comes down to close calls, and we're going to have them every single year at 10, 11, 12, right? In the bottom two, the bottom three when it comes.
All right. Dave Bartoo, Diamond Dave, it may have been a mountain lion, may have been a wolf. But this guy will scout and elk and put his life on the line. He joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. We'll get him back here in just a second. We are the Out of Bounds Show, and this segment's brought to you by the Armory. For all your firearms, optics, and suppressors, the Armory, Lake Harbor in Ridgeland, right in front of Kroger. Show is also brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the sports book Timeout Lounge inside the Golden Moon Casino. PearlRiverResort.com, the sports book, game day action, game day experience. And we'll have Bartoo coming back.
You're not getting in. They're not letting that team in. We've seen it time and time again. And margin of loss is down there with strength of schedule. It's not very important. But when it comes down to close calls, and we're going to have them every single year at 10, 11, 12, right? In the bottom two, the bottom three when it comes.
All right, Bartoo's talking about teams getting in, teams not getting in, tiebreakers into the college football playoff. People want to know about the 10 and 2s, the 9 and 3s. As Bartoo said, 13 and 0, 13 and 1, 12 and 0, 12 and 1. You're getting in. So Bartoo, continue on.
Yeah, well, we just hit the 10 wins, right? So we know you're not a lock at 10, right? You want to talk about not. I think a lot of fans would think they have a pretty good shot at 9 and 3, don't you think?
I think so.
What do you think? What do you think?
No.
What do you think? Here, I'm gonna give you a number. I'm gonna give you a number. Okay, in the last 9 years of playoff committee rankings, okay, throwing out 2020, last 9 years, how many teams finished in the top 25, tier 1, tier 2, power 5, tier 1, tier 2? How many of them finished in the top 25 that were 9 and 3? Right? 9 years. 9 years. So how many teams per year? 3? That's 27. 4? That's 36. 5? That's 45. Where are you at?
4 to 5.
There you go. Right? 36. Dead on. 4. Right? So we got 14. So 36 teams in the last 9 years. How many of them, of those 36, how many of them, if we had a 12-team playoff, just like we do now, same rules, right? How many of them made the playoffs, Bo?
3.
Yep. You cheated. You saw my Twitter.
Well, because I was reading your Twitter last night.
Right. So taking all the fun out of it. Damn it. But 3. Okay, folks? 3 out of 36. 1 out of 12.
That's
right? You almost 9 and 3. Number one, we just said 10 wins. You shouldn't be comfortable. You can be really comfortable, but not very comfortable. 9 and 3, you ain't getting in. I'll bet against 9 and 3 all the time because look at if you bet against 9 and 3 every single time, you are 33 and 3 in terms of being correct, right? And the only time that 9 and 3 got in, it all happened in one single season, 2018, wacky year. That was when UCF went 12 and 0. They finished at number 8 going into the final playoff rankings, right? So they were number 8, and then you had 10, 11, and 12 were all 9 and 3, and that was it. So outside of 2018, not a single 9 and 3 team would have made the 12-team playoff bracket. Not one. So if you're a fan there going, oh man, we just got to get to 9 and 3, that is not going to be good enough. If it is, it's an anomaly. You got bat-ass lucky to get in. And again, it goes back to, I know the conference is consolidated, but the number of conference games for each team has not changed. The math has not changed. So I don't expect very many 9 and 3 teams to ever get in. And quite frankly, who wants very many teams at 9 and 3 in there anyways? You know, if I want to watch a bunch of teams that lost a lot of games in the playoffs, that's called the NFL. So, you know, I don't need that, right? I want to see big games where teams have double-digit wins and 1 loss, no losses, 2 losses. I don't need to see I have somebody sneaking in at 9 and 3 because, you know, they got upset on the road at Marshall because they were too hungover from the plane flight and and didn't show up for a football game. Right? Somebody's been showing up every single Saturday. So 9 and 3. you almost have no shot. Less than 3% of all the teams that have got in, right, are 9-3. So if you're 9-3, you got about a 3% odds of getting in on any given year.
Diamond Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show and the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. All right, Diamond Dave, I know your voice is hit and miss, but it sounds great, man. It sounds like you should be in a Netflix series.
I'm rolling. I need Mom to bring me some scotch.
Yes, you do.
Back tuned up.
Get that single malt scotch going. All right, A&M. Let's preview the Aggies. Are you good with that?
You want to hit A&M? I will, but let me give you a little nugget for all your SEC fans.
Okay.
Okay. So in the last 9 playoff seasons, and at the average number of SEC teams that would make the top 12, make the bracket, is 3.5. Now you've added Texas, and you've added Oklahoma. So I'm pushing that number up. I think the SEC is going to average 4 teams per season in the bracket.
Okay.
I think maybe they'll get to 5. Once they go to 9 conference games, I think it's going to go the other way, right? Because I've seen a lot of people on Twitter going, "Hey Dave, 9-3 SEC is going to get in over 10-2 everybody else every time." You're out of your friggin' mind. Those 3 losses, wins and losses are important. When you lose, your margin of victory falls. Don't think for a second your stupid little strength of schedule trick is going to get teams in. It will not, unless they announce that they're changing.
Surely Sankey makes Bill or whoever took over. I think it was a general out of Colorado or something. I didn't. Anyway.
Right.
Surely Sankey has done this deal knowing that they won't trend up, like you said, to possibly 4 teams a year, maybe even 5 every now and then add a 9th game in 2026, and then going forward, trend back the other way as far as getting 1 team less, maybe 1.5 teams less per year in the college football playoff.
I don't think it's going to be that far. If you said, Dave, bet on the average number of SEC teams in the playoff bracket for the next 10 years, I'll go with 4.
Okay.
I think it's going to be pretty consistent. I think this year and next year it might bump up a little bit. But then I think going forward, even at 9 conference games, it's going to average about 4. You know, what I do believe, though, is when you start after the first round, when you look at that Elite 8 per se, or the Final 4, I think the SEC and the Big Ten are absolutely going to dominate those brackets. You know, a lot of people are like, well, the Big Ten and the SEC are just going to leave and create their own tournament. Well, that's stupid. I'm not watching 8-4 and 7-5 play each other. And the tournament's right in front of you, right? I will bet that your Final 4 is Big Ten, SEC. You're going to see those 2 conferences in the Final 4 constantly.
Okay.
They're going to have 3 out of 4, 4 out of 4, right? There's going to be a season when the SEC has all 4 teams in the Final 4, right? They get 4 or 5 in, and those guys just win their way through. You know, they just hit the window just magically. But I think on average, they're going to get about 4 per year going forward. Maybe, like I said, a little tick up this year and next year, drop down. But over time, it's going to be the same as it was between 3.5 and 4 per year.
Real quick, who got stronger, the SEC adding Oklahoma and Texas, or the Big Ten adding UCLA, Southern Cal, Oregon, and Washington?
The SEC got tougher. I mean, you brought in a top 10 recruiter in Texas. You brought in a top 15 recruiter in Oklahoma. As we know, recruiting drives wins and losses. You look at the Big Ten, they brought in a top 10 recruiter, Oregon, but then they brought in, a top 20 recruiter in USC, a top 30 recruiter in Washington, a top 40 recruiter in UCLA. And UCLA recruits like Vanderbilt, dude. It's not like they're some kind of great juggernaut like they used to be recruiting-wise. So, you know, would this have been a killer addition 10 years ago? Oh, my God. I would say, yeah, the Big Ten absolutely slaughtered it. You know, you got 4 top 20 recruiters, but it's not what it was 10 years ago. USC has slipped more in recruiting in the last 10 years than any program in the country.
What?
USC has slipped in recruiting more than any program in the country in the last 10 years. Okay? I mean, a lot of people don't realize this. USC was Alabama, Georgia. They were the number one recruiter for 2000 to 2010, and they are in the last 5 years. I think they're 21st in high school recruiting. They have just absolutely fallen off the pace. They're nowhere near where they used to be. And if you said, Dave, pick one team that has fallen off more in the last decade than anybody else that has been really good, it's USC. Number two, ironically, is UCLA. You talk about two programs that have absolutely crapped the bed in one of the most fertile college football grounds in the world, the Los Angeles, Southern California basin, and their recruiting is garbage the last decade compared to where they used to be.
Wow. And you just chalk it up to bad hires and lack of leadership?
I don't know. Usually a brand stays relatively in the same spot if you have a good recruiter, right? If you have good coaching content. Look at LSU, right? I mean, LSU has the second most NFL starts from any college football team in the last decade. LSU, right? And look at all the coaches they've gone through. They've gone through great seasons and crappy seasons. They're up and down and all over the place. And every 4 years, they put 35 to 40 guys in the NFL. It doesn't matter who the head coach is, right? I mean, you got Les, and then you go to O, and it's just, it just goes all over the place, but the talent is there no matter what happens. So something happened. Well, with UCLA, we know what happened, right? Jim Mora could recruit, couldn't coach. Neuheisel could recruit, couldn't get it going, right? They were top 15 classes each and every year. And then they went and hired a guy who hates recruiting, says recruiting isn't important. Stars don't mean anything. Well, you're dumb. They do. And your recruiting sucks. And Chip Kelly cratered UCLA recruiting. Cratered it. It was
unreal.
Probably from 2000 to 2010, USC was the number one recruiter, not only in the country, but in the Pac-12. UCLA was top 15 in the country, number 2 in the Pac-12. And now USC isn't even top 20 in the country, and UCLA isn't even in top 30. I mean, the talent profiles at those two programs have gone so backward, so fast. And leadership, coaching, energy, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Couldn't put my finger on it. UCLA, I think, they just had no motivation, and it wasn't part of the culture to recruit, and they showed it. USC, I'm not sure.
Who's that?
I'm not sure. Well, you got Lincoln Riley there right now.
I know Lincoln Riley's at Southern Cal. I think UCLA promoted from within or something. Yeah.
And it helped them there before, and UCLA took a shot at Chip, but he can't recruit. Then they ran out of money, and then they hired a running back coach from the Raiders who was a UCLA alumni, and so, yeah, I mean,
it's like a joke. It's like you being, having martinis this afternoon, and somebody starts telling the story, and you're like, you start laughing.
You start to, if we were sitting by a campfire and somebody was feeding me drinks, I can do this all night.
If we're sitting by a campfire, smashing good bourbon, Wilderness Trail bourbon, you just start laughing going, what? UCLA used to be the 13th composite recruiter in the country, and now they're 54th? What happened?
UCLA is going to get absolutely boat raced this year, man. I think they're going to get smoked. Oh. Absolutely smoked. 3 wins, 4 wins, max.
Oh, man.
But anyways, God, I just took us down a crazy-ass rabbit hole right there. But Texas A&M football, we got time. We want to try to hit their schedule.
Yeah, can you do it? We're good.
I don't know. How does my voice sound?
I think it sounds sexy. All right, Diamond Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook and Lounge. All right, A&M. Let's start with Notre Dame in College Station, my man.
Right. Well, we what do we have here? We got a top 15 recruiter, right? Let's go with the basics. We got a top 15 recruiter. We got a new staff, new head coach. So we're gonna lose one game because of this coaching continuity right there. Boom. We're gonna take one out. Got a great offensive coordinator. We got a great defensive coordinator in Mike Elko. Okay. So that part of it, really, really good. Notre Dame at A&M. Well, by the numbers, it says A&M should win that one, man. You got home field. You got lesser talent, but the home field makes up for that. And you got a better coaching staff than Notre Dame. Even though Notre Dame's staff is really solid too. But it's the timing of it. First game, new staff. I think this is your -1. Right? This is the game where I think that if A&M was 2 or 3 years into the Elko tenure, that you'd be taking A&M. Is Notre Dame the favorite in this one? I don't even know. But
I don't know. I think it may be Notre Dame -2 or something. But
yeah, I mean, this is your quintessential coin flip, right? I mean, seriously, no outcome is going to surprise anybody at all. But by the numbers, I'll take A&M, but I'm going to give them a half a win here as a coin flip. So we're at 0.5. Then they host McNeese State. Now we're at 1.5 wins. And now we got another coin flip on the road. So we're at 2 wins because they're going to Florida. So I got them in that first 3, and then you got Bowling Green. So first 4, the first third of the season, we're at 3-1. 2-2 is probably more likely, but with a new staff. But I'll go 3-1 right now. But I'm really not convinced of it at this point because I just don't know what to expect from the new staff, even though they have the talent there.
Okay. All right. Arkansas on a neutral field and Missouri in College Station.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. That's in Dallas, right?
Yeah, Cowboys Stadium.
So our Arkansas, look, their staff took a step back. Arkansas is nowhere near as talented as A&M. Again, coaching continuity might make this game closer, but we're taking the better staff. We're taking the better talent on a neutral field in A&M. So now we're at 4-1. A&M then hosts Missouri. Again, better talent at home. These are 2 really good football staffs. Missouri's staff is rock solid. What Drinkwitz has done over the last few years, he's lost a few guys, turns around and upgrades things. He's done a really, really good job there. But still, that's at home. That should put him at 5-1. I don't like 5-1. I'm feeling better at 4-2. Even though I've talked myself into a 5-1 corner here, I'm still leaning 4-2 right now.
Okay.
Right? Because I said -1 coach effect. So we're still at 0 coach effect. We're at 5-1 going into Stark Vegas.
Right.
Okay, who you got there?
A&M.
All right. Way to not be a homer. Yeah, me too. Staffing, talent, even though it's on the road. Now, what's great for State in this one here, though, this is a phenomenal trap game. Phenomenal, right? Because who are they playing the week before? Top 25 Missouri. Who are they playing the week after? At home. Top 25 LSU. Oh, look, I know you and I both know A&M's probably favored in that game right now, October 19th in Starkville.
Mm-hmm.
But that is, if you look up Webster's definition of a college football trap game, that's glorious right there. Because we know Mississippi State is going to throw up a ton of points. They better, right? They're going to give up just as many or more. But in the first year of adjustment to the speed of Jeff, I don't think y'all understand how fast. I mean, Jeff calls plays. He is top 3 pace of play, all offensive coordinators since 2010. Every offensive coordinator in the FBS, every offensive coordinator in the FCS, he is top 3s in plays per minute in college football. So you're going to run up a ton of plays, but your defense is going to face 100 a game. So I bet you're going to see a lot of 40-40, 50-50 kind of stuff. But this is a great opportunity. If there's a trap game for A&M, boom, that's it. Because so that should put them, though, at 6-1 going home against LSU. LSU has a good talent, just enough talent. I'm taking LSU in that game. So that puts it at 6-2. A&M still has a better staff than LSU. And my big question mark for LSU this year is going to be their offensive coordinator. He's only called plays once, and it was kind of above average, but he's nowhere near Denbrook, nowhere near it. So that's my big question mark for LSU. And then what do we got? Now we're down to the last 4, right? We're down to the bottom third. We're sitting at 7-2. Now, do you disagree on the State trap game? I think it's a good trap for you guys.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize it until you framed it up that way. That if they may have a slight 75-25, 70-30 maybe chance to, like you said,
60-40, right? It's more of a coin flip, right? The one thing that I love in sports and especially college football.
So if it's 60-40, that's huge.
Right?
Maybe MSU,
Right?
maybe Levy
Yeah.
can pull his first upset of the year.
God, wouldn't that be fun? How crazy would that be beating A&M at home on October 19th?
Burn down the town that night. Good Lord.
God, I'll see the couches burning from my house. Beautiful. Then we go into the final 4 games at South Carolina. They should win that. South Carolina high school recruiting's been down. Coaching staff is bottom 3. I mean, this is year 3 or 4 for Shane. Shouldn't be bottom 3 in any conference after that amount of time. Just the staffing hasn't been good. He lost one of the best special teams coordinators in college football, Pete Limbo, to Buffalo. Now he's the head coach up there. Didn't replace that very good, which you really can't. So I think they're going to lose some field position battles, close games because of that. So I like A&M there. So now we're at 7-2. You host New Mexico State. No Jerry Kill, 8-2. And then we lose our final 2 games. Okay, they go to Auburn, and then they're hosting Texas. Now A&M at Auburn, that's going to be a brutal game because nobody's going to be paying attention to that, right? Auburn has the Iron Bowl the next week. A&M hosting Texas the next week. God knows if somebody just gets the right frame of mind November 23rd, A&M or Auburn, whoever shows up ready to play, is going to blow somebody out because somebody's going to be looking forward on that one. So now we're 8-2. 8-3,
Wow.
8-4, right? Losing those last 2.
Wow.
So, I think the schedule's too tough for A&M to get to 10-2 to even have a playoff shot. They have the talent, but I just don't like where the staff. I like the staff. I just don't like that it's new, and there's a lot of new pieces there. So I think that's where we're at. 9-3, 10-2. Do you know what their total is at the Golden Moon at Timeout Lounge right now? I bet you it's 8.5. Based on what we just did, I'm betting that the betting total is 8.5.
Totals.
Can you or Jackson look that up real quick for us?
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
So Elko, if they go 8-4, I think that's a pretty successful. It's 8.5. It's 8.5. Yeah.
Wow, it's so hard to do this, right? The big game though. It's funny we say all this 8.5. So I just gave you a lot of good reasons why to go over. I gave you a lot of good reasons to go under. The biggest game, though, to determine over and under is probably going to be that first one, the third one against Florida, and the most important one is that trap game in Starkville.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to look at the schedule and go, oh, man, A&M, Notre Dame, Florida, Missouri, LSU, Texas, Auburn. That is a brutal schedule. Freaking brutal. And mixed in there is an overlooked road game between top 25 Missouri, if they're top 25 at that time, and top 25 LSU. Oh, God. That will be a great – we're calling it now. Let's just call it now. Upset in Starkville. Right? Dogs over Aggies.
Diamond
You heard it
Dave.
here first on the Out of Bounds show.
All right, dude. That was fun. The college football playoff discussion and will you get in or at 9-3, 10-2.
We talked about. Yeah, that's what happens when you give me an open mic and unlimited time. Just
Well,
talking like we're at a campfire at the lake and drinking. Jackson's
got to go get a cold beer. So it's already 1:00 here, and he's thinking about, kicking back and calling it a day. So I got to let you go.
Can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
You damn right. And it's 11. What is it? It's almost 11 a.m. your time. All right, man.
Still morning here, brother.
I think I'm going to get I was thinking about something. Anyway, all right, Diamond Dave, we'll talk soon. We'll be in Dallas next week. I'm hoping to get you on. We'll be there for SEC Media Days. All right?
Well, always available, brother. Thank you.
See you, buddy.
Later.
Diamond Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by the Armory, Lake Harbor and Ridgeland, for all your optics, suppressors, and firearms. The Armory is right in front of Kroger, Lake Harbor in Ridgeland.